Welcome to HCB Blog, the television show. I am your host, Al Robinson, and behind me here is Danbury Hospital. And it's behind me for a reason, because today's show we're going to be talking about healthcare reform. As you know, healthcare reform is a topic of great debate in this country. There are a lot of people who are for healthcare reform. There's people who are against healthcare reform. But today's show we're going to be talking about people who are in favor of healthcare reform and the great need to fix this broken system that we have here. A few weeks ago, we had a vigil down at the Danbury Public Library with a bunch of activists who came out to express their support for President Obama's health care reform initiative. So I went down with my camera, and today I'll bring you some highlights from that vigil. As a bonus, I had an opportunity to speak with Congressman Chris Murphy, who came to the greater Danbury area a few weeks ago to address anybody, their concerns about health care, as well as a wide range of issues. If you don't know about Chris Murphy's events, they're called Congressman on Your Corner. Basically, the congressman gets there, sets up shop, and he'll take any question from anybody about any topic you have on your mind. Seeing that health care reform is a big topic of debate right now, a lot of people came out to express their concerns about health care with the congressman. But after the event was over, I had a one-on-one interview with the congressman. I asked him about his thoughts on health care reform and his thoughts on the feedback he got from his constituents. So without any further ado, here is the vigil on health care reform that happened down at the public library, as well as my interview with Congressman Chris Murphy.
Okay, top 10 reasons why we're here tonight. Number 10, because we need to show support for public option.
Yes.
Number 9, because we need to show support for one another.
Yes.
Okay.
And number 3, because we've been waiting too long.
Well, we're getting there, babe. Number 8, because we need to be the voice for the people who could not be here tonight.
Yes.
Number 7, because we should love and care about our neighbor.
Yes.
Number 6, because we live, even Republicans, because in a civilized society, health care is a right, not a privilege.
Yes.
Because people are more important than any flag or any ideology.
Yes.
Woo! Because we need to hear one another's stories.
Right.
Number 3, because we need to show we truly do value human life.
Yes.
Okay. And number 2, because we need to be the change we want to see.
Thank you, Gandhi.
And number 1, to honor Senator Edward Kennedy's tireless efforts. And in his words, the work goes on, the cause endures, the hope still lives, and the dream shall never die. Okay, we're going to have some folk come up to tell some stories of folk. Mike, would you come up first? Mike is going to read a story. Real people, real health.
Mike, I'll hold your sign. My daughter was attacked by a dog. We had insurance, so I took her to our provider's hospital. After she was worked on and healing, I received notice from the insurance company that they would only pay a small portion of the cost of her surgery. Apparently, the doctor that worked on her was not a doctor with our company. Even though I was at our insurance company's hospital, I petitioned for a reconsideration. And even the doctor wrote to the company explaining that there was no one else available at the time to do the emergency surgery. But they still turned us down. I had to pay $4,000 out of pocket at a time when my income was $7.50 per hour. That's wrong.
Actually, this is from David in Chicago, Illinois. David says, my grandfather, who passed away recently, needed physical therapy to save his leg. It was going to be amputated because of diabetes. The insurance company would only pay for it in blocks of time. So he would have therapy for a designated number of days, and then he would be forced to leave the rehabilitation center for several days, and then, only then, he could return to the rehab center to resume the therapy. So the therapy was rendered ineffective by this on-again, off-again care. He developed gangrene, but refused to lose his leg. In the end, he lost his battle and his life. and he had insurance.
Okay, this story is from Brandon from Louisville, Texas. At 55, my mother was hospitalized due to a staph infection and its effects on her body. Because of her insurance, she was transferred to a long-term acute care facility where her doctor said she should stay until she recovered. After 30 days, the insurance stopped paying for the care facility and she was transferred to a nursing home that was not equipped to take her in. She was hospitalized again and soon fell into a coma from a urinary tract infection from the catheter she had to use. If her insurance would have paid for her to stay in the long-term care facility, she might still be with us today.
This story is from William from Chicago, Illinois. My wife started her own public relations firm and was doing so well, I quit my job and joined her. We bought insurance coverage personally, not through the business because we were so small, but it did us no good. Every claim we made was denied because they called everything a pre-existing condition. Eventually, we realized they would never pay for anything. So we gave up our dream of expanding our small business, and I went to work for a university just so both of us could have health coverage. We have a fine life and good careers, but our firm never got big to the point where we could create a bunch of jobs and hire people, which was what we really wanted to do.
This is a story from Lauren from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I just lost a corporate job that I had for 21 years. Shortly after being laid off, my husband developed arterial fibrillation, and doctors discovered that he had a blockage in one of his arteries. They installed a stent to remedy the situation. We opted to go with Cobra in order to stay insured while I continued to look for another corporate job. I have yet to find another job, and our Cobra runs out in mid-October. We have checked with at least 10 to 12 insurance carriers and have been told that no private insurance company will touch him due to the stent and his heart condition. He takes many medications to keep his heart as healthy as possible, and it is quite expensive. He is 61 and I am 53. It's tough.
All these stories that we're hearing now are very intimate and very personal. I don't really have any that I can tell about my own personal problems with any personal health problems that I can relate. However, I do want to relate, and I want to speak on behalf of the employees that are working in the medical health field. And these are employees that I meet on an everyday basis. An intern that works with me that's working 80 hours a week, that is overworked. What kind of effectiveness are we getting out of these people? Doctors that are straddled with high malpractice insurance and a shortage of primary doctors throughout the country. That is a known fact. So the healthcare system and repair of it is not only for healthcare for everybody, it's quality healthcare. I talked to a lady who works as a cardiac, she reads the readings from echo specialist, yeah. She was telling me she works 58 hours a week. There's got to be regulation on this so we can all have healthy insurance, quality insurance, and affordable insurance. Thank you.
In 2002, when I was 55 years old, my husband and I decided to finally buy our own dream house. We bought our new dream house, which cost us $240,000 in New Milford. As soon as we got our house, I had emergency surgery, a perforated bowel. I had no insurance. I couldn't get it because I was pre-existing condition, so I couldn't get any kind of insurance whatsoever. I was rushed to the hospital. I was in surgery for 13 hours the first time, and then the second time for the surgery, 13. The hospital went to court right away, and they liened my house for $72,000, all because I couldn't get life insurance. I have a $72,000 lien on my house, plus other liens per the anesthesiast and all that. Well, thank you to the government, and thanks to all the insurance companies who wouldn't help me. I am trying to pay these lawyers off. I'm being sued by all of them because they want their money, even though the lien is on the house, all because I couldn't get health insurance.
I had health insurance for 22 years and didn't know what I had until a marriage ended, and then I was stuck without insurance and struggling with work. And I finally, after advocating at my job for about a year to get health insurance, I finally got it, and 1 month later I had a major diagnosis with major surgery and major things happened. And I would be bankrupt today if I did not have that. And still, even now, I went to my doctor and I said, and my doctor ordered a blood test. Said just to see on an overall scale how you're doing. And the insurance company denied that blood test because it wasn't medically necessary. I said, don't you want your costs down? Wouldn't this help you? No. This is out of pocket. That was $200 I wasn't expecting that month, you know? So I'm sharing that because I just was stunned when it started to happen to me and my friends. It was like, whoa, big wake-up call. So we really got to keep talking.
Just a word, I'm a healthcare worker, I'm a family therapist. I cannot tell you how many people that have health insurance are getting denied, getting their benefits cut. And it's awful when you're working with mental health. How sick are you supposed to make somebody so that their insurance company is going to pay the benefit that they're paying for? My son is a medical doctor. He's a neurologist in New Hampshire. He can't wait till this system gets fixed. He has to write 3-page letters to make sure his sick patients get the medicine they need, maybe the non-generic or the generic brand, and tests that they need. My youngest daughter is a student at MIT. She lived in London for 6 months. She worked for the National Health Service. Mom, guess what? They're not dropping dead in the streets over here. They have great health care. She got sick going to work one day, and they said to her, Kim, what are you doing here? You're sick. Go home until you feel better. Would your employer, would any employer in America, they're going to say to you what? When are you coming back?
Yeah, right.
Wouldn't they?
Oh, yeah.
There is nothing to fear.
Okay, I'm speaking to the organizer of this event here in Danbury at the Danbury Library. And why don't you tell me who you are and what made you do this event here?
Thank you, Al. I'm Georgiana Resigno, and this is the second event I have organized for MoveOn.org. I believe strongly that our healthcare system is not a healthcare system at all. It is a system in disguise for profit. As a healthcare worker myself, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I find that people with healthcare are being denied benefits. Their benefits are being curtailed for strange reasons. Oftentimes when I'm waiting for my reimbursements, they don't come on time for some bogus reason that, oh, we didn't get it, or things of that nature. And these are with your major companies, Blue Cross, Oxford, HealthNet. My son is also a neurologist in private practice, and he says he is tired of writing 3-page letters to these companies so that his people who are very, very ill, his patients, can get the non-generic brand, can get the kind of testing that they need. And being a neurologist, he works with the sickest of the sick. There's stroke syndrome, muscular dystrophy, you name it. So he sees people being routinely denied. Another reason is my youngest daughter, who attends MIT now, is a business major. She lived in London for 6 months and worked for the National Health Service. And the first thing she said to me was, Mom, guess what? They're not dropping dead in the streets over here. Socialized medicine works. So I know people that are English. I've been to England. I've seen the wonderful care these people get. And we're being shortchanged. We're being sold a bill of goods. I am most offended by the fear-mongering. It's basically lies that they are telling about our system, about our health care. So I wanted to do something positive tonight. I wanted to be visible so other people who believe the way I do could meet other people who believe the way I do, and together we can effect some good change. I personally believe that healthcare in the richest nation on earth should not be a privilege. It should be a moral right. And I don't see how you can ever make a profit on someone's illness, which is being done all the time under the system that we currently have.
Okay. Now, for people who feel the same way as you, but who could not come here to participate, could you give them some advice in terms of showing their support for the plan and how to inform the members in Congress that we should pass health care with a public option, of course?
The very, very best thing that they can do is find out who their representative in Congress, who their senators are. And every one of these individuals has their own website. And you are free to call them by phone, and they will ask for your name, they will ask for the district that you're in, tell them that you want universal health care, public option, whatever you want. The more voices out there, the more our supposed representatives will begin to actually represent us. So that is the most important thing they can do. Write letters, talk to your neighbors, just be vocal. Put a little poster in the window in your home, put a poster on your car.
All right, well look, thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate it, and I definitely think a lot of people who support health care in this area really appreciate the effort you're doing in getting this message out there.
Thank you so much. Thank you too.
Good. We've had numerous complaints and criticisms of Social Security and Medicare. God knows it's been a godsend to millions of us. It saved our parents, saving us. It's sad to hear this criticism, especially of Medicare. Why can't we look in the direction of Medicare for everyone?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think we do have to address this, right? I mean, everybody. There's so many people out there who are so fearful of government medicine, but don't touch my Medicare, right? I mean, for people that are 65 or above, they want to keep their Medicare, but they don't want Medicare for anybody else. And I do think that we have to. I do think that we have to acknowledge that Medicare can be a lot better. It can be stronger. There are a lot of things that don't work about it that can work better. But for millions of Americans out there, Medicare has made a huge difference. The poverty rate for seniors before Medicare was passed was 3 times the rate that it is today. And I guess I look at this bill and I say, you know, we're not even talking. There are a lot of people who want to say, let's have Medicare for everybody, or at least let's have Medicare for people from 55 and above or 60 and above. This bill doesn't even do that. This bill doesn't expand Medicare 1 inch. All it says is that if you want to buy into a Medicare-like program, you should have the option to buy into that program. So there are a lot of people out there who think that Medicare works pretty well, and we should give more people the ability to have access to it. I can probably buy that. I look at a lot of people who are 60 to 65 who have lost their job or don't have a job, who have a lot of medical costs, and I think it would probably make sense to give them access to Medicare. But this bill doesn't even go that far. So for all of the concerns that this is throwing out our current system, this bill doesn't expand Medicare or existing government programs. This bill just tries to give people access to some of the programs that are licensed. So the concern is is how do you assure that people can keep their health care, and I've heard this a lot, isn't there incentive for an employer to dump people into the public plan, right? So again, for people that have their health care today, and like you stated, the only people that could even purchase into this insurance exchange, which a lot of people think is a great idea. There's a lot of, I think, agreement that insurers should have to compete against each other across state lines, which is what this exchange does. Actually, the only people right now that would be allowed to go into that exchange are individuals and small businesses. But a business, how the exchange works, and people talk about this being complicated, and it is, but how this exchange works is that your employer doesn't decide that you go into the public option or you go into a private plan in the exchange. The employer will pay a premium for the exchange itself. There's one premium associated with the exchange, and the employer pays that. The employees go into the exchange, and then it's the employee's decision as to whether they want to go on the private plan or, if it exists, the public option. It's like the federal employees' healthcare system works today. The federal government sets up an exchange of insurance companies. Every federal employee has a premium associated with them, but then they make the decision about where they go. So there's no way for an employer to direct you to a public option, and there's no financial incentive to do that because they're paying a premium associated with the exchange as a whole, not with any specific plans there. So that's the protection for individuals as they go into it. Now, I frankly think that if this works, more people should be able to go into the exchange. I think right now it's only limited to individuals and small businesses because we sort of want to test the exchange and make sure that it works before you expand it out to the whole population. But I think if it works, I buy the argument that insurers should have to compete against each other, and I think you should expand that to more people if you can.
I have not switched jobs because I had a child that was sick, because I knew that the insurance in my new job would not take my child because of a preexisting condition. And I really want to hear what this policy, what this change will do. I mean, it's a non-issue for me now, but it was a horrifying experience because at the time my kid had Lyme disease, nobody knew what to do, blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows that is a separate issue. Well, we couldn't get coverage. If I had switched jobs, I had no coverage because of a pre-existing condition, and my kid was dying.
So this is a personal story that you hear a lot. Her question is that she had a child. She has a child with sick, with pre-existing conditions, and she couldn't switch jobs. She could not switch jobs because to go to another employer, they wouldn't pick her up and take her because she has a very expensive family, and no employer is going to pick up an employee that has big medical costs with them. That is a huge problem, and that story can be told over and over and over again. That people that have a sick child are locked into the job that they have because if they leave it and go to another job, part of what employers look at when they hire you is, are you going to cost my insurance plan more money? I hear it over and over again from employers and from employees out there. This has got to be a central part of reform here, is saying that insurance companies no longer can price people simply based on the fact that they're sick. That insurance is supposed to be all of us taking and pooling the risk for those children that get sick out of no fault of their own. So a provision of I think every draft that's out there, and I hope a piece of the bill that Republicans and Democrats can agree on, is to say that insurance should get back to being insurance, and that you can price based on age or geography, but you can't price based on sickness any longer. That problem just can't continue to subsist, and a big part of the bill is insurance reform, which gets at that discrimination against people that are sick and kids that are sick.
Well, Congressman Murphy, this is the second day you've been out here, and I know you've been around the 5th District talking to people. I saw you in Simsbury, which was somewhat interesting. And I just want to get your feelings about meeting the people and talking to residents in the 5th District about health care.
You know, there are some members of Congress out there who are hiding, who don't want to be out here and talk to folks about health care. I've taken the exact opposite approach. This is my second day of spending 2 hours down here on the Danbury Town Green talking to anybody who wants to talk to me. I was at Waterbury Town Green on Tuesday. I'll be back there again on Friday. Last night we did 2 hours up at Chippewa High School. I am losing my voice if you can hear it, but this is the job. I mean, I don't vote how Chris Murphy says that I should vote. I vote how my constituents want me to vote. There's a lot of passion on both sides of this debate. A lot of people that are concerned that they would lose their insurance that they have now. My job is to try to tell them that that's not in the plan, that our intention is, if you want insurance, to keep it. A lot of people out there who don't understand how insurance companies have gotten away with what they've gotten away with, and really want healthcare reform because they think that it's going to start to rein in some of the worst abuses of the insurance industry. My job is to tell people that that really is my mission when I go back down to Washington, to try to push for that kind of insurance reform. There's a lot of great input, a lot of great ideas that I'm getting out here, and I don't know how to do my job any other way.
All right. Now, I've been, like I said, I've been to a few of these meetings with you, and I hear a lot of weird things like death panels and people are going to be forced into public option. It's going to create a single-payer system. How do you handle the misinformation that's being levied out there and being directed towards congressmen like you?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we heard today and yesterday, people believing that the Weather Underground is writing the health care bill. And, I think somebody asked a very good question at the end of the conversation today. How do you get your information and make sure that it's right? And I said one of the first things I do is I don't pay attention to anybody who's on the cable news shows from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Those people are entertainers. They're not healthcare experts. They have an agenda. And if you hear anything on those news shows, and, frankly, whether it's MSNBC or Fox News, you got to go and verify it. You got to go and make sure that that isn't just somebody spinning a rumor to spin a rumor, because a lot of what I'm hearing just isn't in the bill. And I'm hopeful that people will call our office if they have a concern or rumor that they've heard. Call us and we'll walk people through this bill or whatever new draft comes out to talk about what's real and what's not.
Okay. One last question, real quick. As a progressive, I know that the Democratic residents have made it so that the Democrats have control of Congress, and now we have a Democratic president. A lot of people voted members of Congress in because they want health care reform, they want a public option. So my question to you is, how do you feel about the public option, and would you vote for a health care bill that would not have a public option in it?
I haven't set any lines in the sand for things I agree with or don't agree with on the health care bill, but I don't see any other way to try to rein in insurance costs without the public option. I'm a big supporter of it because I believe, one, that people should have the choice to be on public insurance or private insurance, depending on what's best for them. But I also agree with the Congressional Budget Office, the nonpartisan analysts in Washington that have said that the public option will save the healthcare system $100 billion because it will provide pressure on the private for-profit insurers to bring their costs down and their premiums down. So I'm a big supporter of the public option because I think that people should have the choice. This is a nation of individual responsibility and individual choice, and I think that they should make that decision themselves, and that I think that the public option can really do a great job of bringing down the cost of healthcare.
Well, thanks a lot for being here. I don't recall Nancy Johnson being out here with these type of events like this, and she was voting for health care. So from somebody who lives in the Fifth, I really appreciate it.
Every one of these I schedule for an hour and it goes 2 hours. I schedule it for an hour and a half, it goes 3 hours. I'm going to stick around until everybody's questions answered.
All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Great.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. My name is Al Robinson, the host of Hat City Blog Television. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you want to read more information on this topic or anything else that's happening in Danbury, please visit the site at www.hatcityblog.com. Again, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next week.